All right, so here we are, back again for another episode of the Broken-ish podcast. However, as you can see, I'm all by myself. Today is going to be a solo adventure. No co-host, no guest, just me and you. And so I figured today I would take the opportunity to answer some questions. Some questions from our viewers, questions from some of our staff members. People want to know kind of what's going on with Ava Health, with our program leadership, ownership, myself, and the community. So figured this would be the time to do it. And I think next week, co-host Mr. Christopher Bennett will be back. So we'll look forward to that. Without further ado, here is Roman Answers Your Questions. Question number 1. What is something people assume about you that is completely wrong? You know, I think that when people first see me, there's assumptions made, and like I'm guilty of it too, right? Like our first impression of people is typically what we see. And over the years, I have tattooed my body to a point where like there's going to be some judgment. It's just the nature of when you tattoo your hands and your throat, like you're signing up for a lifetime of judgment. Now, once people get to know me and they get to see who I really am, I think maybe some of their perspective changes. But I think people assume that I'm just like this guy that's an extrovert and just always out there and smiling and ready to talk. And that would be maybe a little incorrect. Like that is what I do for work. And I think that is what I've committed my life to, and I'm passionate about helping other people, and communication is the means in which I think I have a gift to do that. But at home and with my friends and with my kids and my family, and I'm a lot more quiet, a lot more reserved, and I think that that would probably shock some people. Question number 2. How did you end up in behavioral health? Well, I can tell you and assure you that getting into behavioral health was never part of my plan personally. When I was a kid, I thought for sure I was going to be an astronaut. I wanted to go to space, and then, life happens and you kind of figure out as you go. The next career path that I really remember having that I was interested in was nursing. So there was always like this desire to help people. However, I remember there was like a local psych tech program, and I went to an orientation for it, and I was like, cool, this maybe is my way in. And they put up a slide, and it was like an autopsy picture or something along that lines. And I remember feeling so nauseous seeing that and realizing quickly that like nursing or anything that was like medical related that had to do with like blood and potentially like severe wounds and injuries, I was like totally out on. And then again, life happens, struggled with my own mental health and substance abuse issues. And when I finally went to treatment and I came out of treatment, I saw the impact that a couple counselors had personally on me. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And thus began my journey into behavioral health, which over time has definitely changed and evolved. But that's how I got into behavioral health. Question number 3. Why are you so passionate about recovery? I can tell you that when I got out of treatment myself and I decided, hey, I wanted to be a counselor because I wanted to help other people, it was simply because I wanted to help other people as the people who helped me did for me. And it was like this pay it forward, if you will. And then along the lines of navigating the journey of my own personal recovery over the years and making so many friendships and close relationships with others in recovery, inevitably they say if you stay sober long enough, like you're gonna lose a lot of friends. And in the last 15 years, I've lost so many people that I care about to addiction. And so over time, like the mission has always been the same for me, is I want to be of service and I want to help people as people who came before helped me and others. But now it's even more personal. Like I have a personal vendetta against addiction. And so I want to advocate for recovery because of the amount of people I've lost in my life, close friends, and I continue to lose. So that's really like where the passion stays ignited along this journey. Personal vendetta. All right, next question. Biggest lesson you've learned from working at Ava Health? That's a great question. You know, this isn't my first venture in behavioral health. Obviously been working in this field for a long time, had started programs previously, but this time was different. Aligning with the owners at Ava Health, I've learned so much from them. Being in a rural area like Grand Junction, I've learned so much from the community. And then the staff that we've been able to bring on board here has really been such an incredible experience. So back to the question, what's the biggest lesson that I've learned from working at Ava Health is in the past, I thought that I can enact real change in this world by myself. And the lesson that I've learned here is really, it takes a village, but more so it takes that entire system, that entire village to be in complete alignment on the same purpose and vision. And like, yeah, that seems like a no-brainer. It's harder to put into practical application to the point where I thought that that wasn't really possible before. And now like, I have no doubt that it's not only possible, but it's what we're doing. And it's the single reason why we're able to do the amazing things that we do is because of that, the alignment. Next question. Most meaningful success story that you've witnessed without breaking privacy. Of course, there's been so many success stories over the years that I've seen firsthand, that I played a part in, that I witnessed from a distance. So many to choose from, but there's one that really stands out. It's hard when you're a counselor or you're working in treatment on the front line, when new clients are coming into the program, to not like make firsthand assumptions about people. It's hard. We try to stay neutral, but sometimes somebody comes into a program and you're like, ugh, I don't know if this person's gonna make it. And other times you're like, oh, that person for sure. Like if they could just get sober, they're gonna do amazing. And I had this one woman who came to our program, and I think we scholarshiped her, and she was like a walk-in, not referred from anywhere, had no insurance. And I remember meeting her for the first time, and she was a mess, and being like, damn, like this is gonna be an uphill battle for this woman, and if she can maintain her sobriety and deal with some of these issues, like she might be okay, but it's gonna be a uphill battle. And like fast forward years and years later, she is working in the industry at this program, and she's just killing it. And it's just like another that's right, like the gifts of recovery, you can't forecast them. You never know what somebody's life is going to look like post-recovery. There's an endless amount of possibilities. And I've seen that over the years with so many people. It's a blessing. Okay, next question. What is Chris really like when the cameras are off? This is a great question. A lot of people, their experience of Chris is on the podcast, over on the other side of the room doing Inside Ava Health, on the newsletter, on our social media pages. That's their experience of Chris. They don't get to see him behind the scenes. And even like here on site, a lot of times our staff and clients' experience of Chris is here in the role of a CEO, which he is. And he wears that really well. I mean, dude, CEO life, right? That's Chris. What people don't see is that that's not just a performance. Like, that's not just his role. His role is not just the CEO, and that he like comes to work and shows up and comes here and talks the way that he does, and then he's completely different. No, Chris is the same in all aspects of his life. He shows up with the same passion and the same vigor as he does advocating for Ava Health and our patients and our staff here. He does that at home with his daughter, with his wife, with his friends. I've been blessed to call him my best friend for the last 15 years. Like, Chris is exactly the same on camera, off camera, at home, in the office, on a road trip, out in Vegas. He's the same. That's Chris. And like, he really embodies, and he's a CEO, man. I admire that. Next question. What's the biggest lesson that you've learned from Chris? That's an interesting question. Biggest lesson? So many lessons, man. We've been in each other's lives for so long, and we've played different roles in each other's lives in that time. But I'll just say that I remember a time where both of us personally were dealing with some major changes in our lives as well professionally. Like, we both experienced some massive failures professionally. And him being this avid backpacker who likes to freaking go out into the mountains and hike as far as he possibly can, the biggest mountains with the heaviest backpack. Like, he's insane in that way. And he invited me to go backpacking with him, which like wasn't my cup of tea. I don't train. I'm not doing marathons like him. I don't wake up every morning and run 16 miles. But I was like, cool, like I need an escape. My life is falling apart. And so I went backpacking with him, and dude, it kicked my butt. Like, we were finally found a place to set up camp, and then we were like 15 miles back up this mountain, and the elevation changed, and I was done. And he was like seemingly totally fine. And I remember we sat down in this mountain with no one else around for miles, and you couldn't hear anything except for the kind of wind blowing through the trees. And we just sat there and cried. And like, we were talking about some things. But my biggest lesson that I've learned from Chris was, honestly, that you can be vulnerable and emotional and open with like another man. And for me, that was like a taboo thing. Like, growing up, hide your emotions, hide your feelings, boys don't cry, this and that. It's all bravado and machismo. And in that moment, like, him and I just sat there and we just cried, man. And it like unlocked something for me that this is okay. Cool. Next question. Pull back the curtain. What are the owners of Ava Health really like? It's a good question. Obviously, like, you guys know Chris, Mr. CEO himself, who embodies that in all aspects of his life. Ian, our COO, is brilliant, man. He is so committed to making things work. And the way that his mind works is different than anyone else I've ever met. You can go to Ian and say, hey, this is our problem. And then he'll just immediately start breaking down the problem. What makes this a problem? Why is it a problem? Who's it a problem for? How can we solve this? What are the potential solutions? Which one works best in which area? And it's just like, that's how his brain works. And so like, he really is like the perfect COO. He thinks about operations in a manner that like, I didn't know people actually thought that way. And then you have David, our CFO, who my first time I met David, he had like a 10-minute conversation with me, and I didn't understand almost any of it. Like, he speaks about data and numbers and financial systems in a way that, like, I feel sometimes I have to go to school for like 16 years just to catch up, to have a conversation with them. And then once you tell him that, hey, I don't understand this, he'll be like, gotcha. And he'll switch. And then he'll start breaking it down into my language. And so I've learned so much about financial systems, about money, just in general, from David. Now, Ava Health wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for all three of them, but specifically David. David is the guru behind the finances. He was like, oh, like Medicaid programs, that's not a sustainable business model. Awesome. I'm going to make a model that does work with that population. And then he went out there and did it. He was like, oh, there's going to be some Medicaid cuts over the next year in Colorado and across the nation. So he, on his own, figured out what those Medicaid cuts would be. He projected them, and then he figured out how we can make sure that we're not affected by those cuts. And he just like did that to a point where the data that he came up with was like so influential and monumental that like other people were like, hey, can you share that with me? So yeah, the owners are great, which leads to like the next question. Why do Chris, Ian, and David work so well together? Now, we did an Inside Ava Health where I think the three of them actually sat down and kind of talked about that. Go watch that episode, because you get to see in action the way that each three of them think distinctly different from each other, but how that works in practical application. So you have Chris, Mr. CEO, who often like lives up here in vision, a place of vision. He's always thinking about 10 years from now. He's always thinking big picture. He's always thinking about like how we can do more and be better in this. And then you have David, who very much lives in data and analysis. And so like his perspective comes from like, well, what does the data show? You know, what does it actually mean? And then you have Ian, who's kind of between them. Ian's very much grounded in the operations, the practical application, right? Chris, you have these great ideas. Awesome. How can we tie them down to practically apply them? And then David, does this make sense financially? Can we operate this way? And the three of them just, boom, they work like a machine. Honestly, it's an honor and a privilege to watch them work. Like, I feel blessed, and I've learned so much from the three of them and seeing them interact and solve problems together. Like, I have a front row seat for like, I don't know how much money it would cost to get the experience that I have now just from watching them. And the other part too is they can all kind of shift into each other's lanes a little bit. So they're all distinctly different, but they all collaborate and can work so well together. Next question. What is something people get wrong about them? I think here locally, there's like this idea and these feelings about these three guys that came into a rural community like Grand Junction, Mesa County. None of them are from here. You got one guy coming from California, another from the East Coast, and David from Denver, and they're all coming here to open this program. And people just automatically assume it's like, oh, just like three guys coming to make some money off of the poor community out here. And that couldn't be further from the truth. You know, you have a 5-minute conversation with any of them, and automatically you realize, oh, that's not true. Like, these guys fucking care. Like, these guys are so committed to this, and it's not been an easy journey, and there's been so many hiccups. But yeah, I would say that that's like the biggest misconception about them, is that they're just out here to make money. And it's like, yeah, the money will be made, but like the primary focus is there's a huge need on the Western Slope. And they were like, cool, like we're gonna help fix that. All right. What is something the public doesn't see happening inside Ava Health? So many things, right? Like, we like to get on here and share openly about kind of what we're going through as an organization. But like, actually inside the building, what you don't see is our staff. What you don't see is the direct client care. What you don't see is the manager meetings and the staff town halls. Like, and you'll never see that. That's really like the thing that makes this special. You don't see like the hard work and commitment and the dedication that our staff are putting in on a regular basis. You don't see like the behind the scenes movement of trying to get the apartments open and get the homestead up and dealing with fire and safety inspections and sprinkler systems, and we gotta drywall this wall now. There's so much more behind the scenes that if you've never started a business like this, you wouldn't ever know. You just wouldn't. And like, not necessarily things that we need to share. Okay. What is something that makes Ava Health different? I've kind of already touched on this, but the main thing that makes us different truly is that alignment of everyone that's involved here, from owners and leadership all the way down. The other thing that makes Ava Health so different, and this is coming directly from clients, you know, we get some time in leadership to interact and mingle with clients, and a question that we often have for them is like, hey, give us some feedback. Like, how is this? What can we improve? What's working? What's not? We ask the clients that because we would like that insight so we can make some changes. And across the board, the thing that they say that's the same is that the staff here are so caring and committed and loving that as soon as they come in to treat me here, they're just swooped up and loved on. And I can tell you firsthand that I've experienced that and I've witnessed that. And when we were thinking about hiring here for all these positions in Grand Junction, that was like a concern of ours, truly, was like, staffing in rural areas is difficult, especially when you're looking for like some specialty positions, therapists that have mental health and substance abuse experience, housing managers, support staff. We were a little bit concerned with, you know, what type of staff we were going to be able to have access to. Turns out we have access to the best staff in the world. Next question. What's the most underrated thing about Grand Junction? Now, I gotta be honest. When I first flew into Grand Junction, I looked around and I said, this isn't Colorado. Where are we? This looks like I'm in the middle of the Grand Canyon. And I hated on Grand Junction. I thought it was kind of whack out here. Now that's coming from a California guy, so there was a ton of bias there. But now that I've been out here for about a year, Grand Junction has grown on me. And I gotta say that the community of Grand Junction, the people of Grand Junction, they fucking care. They care about what's happening in this community. And that's underrated because that's not everywhere. You get to some big metropolitan areas and that just gets lost, you know? But Grand Junction, the people of Grand Junction, they care. They care about their community. They care about Mesa County. They care about the Western Slope. They care about the people. They care about the homeless. They care about those who are struggling with addiction, substance abuse, mental health issues. Like, people care. And that can't be stated enough. Okay, next question. Best local restaurant? Look, I was also a hater on the food scene out here, I must admit. For the first couple months coming to Grand Junction, I was like, man, the food sucks. Coming from Southern California, where the food is fantastic. That being said, food out here has grown on me as well, and there's a couple great spots around town. My favorite, I don't know what the best local restaurant is, but my favorite place to eat in Grand Junction, I eat almost every time I'm here, is Taco Party. And look, if you know, you know, right? Coming from Southern California, we have the best tacos. Taco Party, I would say, and they would probably say too, is not Mexican food. So if you want like a Mexican taco, that's not the place. They do these specialty tacos. Oh my goodness. They're fantastic. Specifically, they have this fried chicken taco, and it's probably my single favorite food here in Grand Junction. It's incredible. Okay, next question. What's the biggest lie addiction tells people? That you're not enough, that you're not worthy. Addiction will have you convince yourself that you're a lost cause, that it'll never get better. And that just perpetuates the cycle of addiction. And the reality is, like, once you enter recovery, you start to realize that lie, and you start to regain some self-worth and realize that you are worthy and you do matter and that your life is valuable and that people do care. So that's by far, from my perspective, the biggest lie that addiction tells people. Next question. What's the most common excuse people use to avoid treatment? For many years, like, I avoided treatment when I absolutely knew like things were not getting better on their own. And people would be like, hey, why don't you go to rehab or something? They'd be like, well, now's not a good time. I just got so much going on in my life with having absolutely no job or no home or nothing to do. It's just I'm busy. My schedule, so that's a big excuse that people use, is like time. And then somebody brought it to my attention one time. They said, okay, but hear me out. What if going to treatment for 90 days frees up the rest of your life to do the things that you want to do? And I remember thinking, well, that sounds like a pretty good deal, actually. 90 days for the rest of my life. And so, yeah, I mean, that's the biggest excuse that people use to avoid treatment, other than, well, it's not that bad. And it's like, usually when I or somebody else is saying it's not that bad, it's definitely that bad, But what happens when you're in active addiction is you have these blinders on. And so all you see is kind of what's in front of you. And you don't see the mountain and pile of shit that you're accumulating behind you. And so, yeah, it's not that bad. I don't have time. Okay, next question. What does recovery actually feel like? I've described this before in different ways, but most recently I had an experience that was the closest that I have had to describing what recovery feels like. So like recently I had the flu and like a cold at the same time, and it was bad. It was bad. I was in rough shape, bedridden. And for men, getting the flu is like way worse, So I was completely helpless, dying. Oh my goodness, my belly hurts and I have a fever and I can't do anything. And you can't smell and you can't taste and you can't see and you can't move and you feel all janky. That happened to me. And then inevitably, I pushed through and I made it through. And I remember after being like in my bedroom for 4 days, miserable, I finally felt good enough to walk outside. And I remember the sun hit my face and I was able to breathe in fresh air. And like that's what recovery is like. I remember smelling the flowers outside and being like, wow, I've never smelled flowers before. And I remember the sun was shining on my face and I felt the warmth on my cheeks, and it felt as though I'd never felt the sun before, which was absolutely not the case. And I remember being able to see the colors and the trees and be like, wow, it's like I'm seeing for the first time. That's what recovery feels like. Okay, I guess we have some like rapid fire questions, so I'm just gonna try to go through these as quickly as possible. First question, favorite shoe? Easy, Jordans. I'm a sneakerhead. I got so many shoes at home. Now the question really is, what is my favorite pair of Jordans? I'm a retro guy, so really any of the old school models, Jordan 1s is probably what I wear most often, just because they're comfortable and they're easy to put on. But honestly, and this might be a hot take, but Jordan 12s have always been my favorite shoe. Specifically, the red and black Jordan 12s. I don't know. Sue me. You can disagree if you want, but that's my favorite shoe. Okay, next question. Favorite podcast? Easy. The Broken-ish podcast. Now, there is a close second, and that is Inside Ava Health podcast. And also, don't know if you know this or not, but on the Ava Health YouTube channel, there's this guy that started doing reaction videos to songs about mental health and addiction. Oh my goodness. It's an incredible series. You should probably right now go check that out. Next question. Favorite book? Also an easy answer. My favorite book is Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury. He's my favorite author. It's like sci-fi, old school sci-fi. And my second favorite book is Dandelion Wine, also by Ray Bradbury. If you know, you know. If you don't know, now you know. Go check him out. That book's incredible. The Illustrated Man as well, fantastic. All his books, really good. You probably know him best by Fahrenheit 451 or Martian, but those other books are incredible. Next question. Favorite movie? I want to say Fight Club, because that is one of my favorite movies, and that's like the trendy guy answer, and it's mostly true. But if we're being honest, which I think we are, and we're friends here, right? I must admit, my favorite movie is Legends of the Fall. And again, if you know, you know. It's kind of like a girl movie, but it's fantastic. It's got Brad Pitt in it. It's got Anthony Hopkins. Fantastic movie. Next question. Favorite song? So I have two favorite songs. I know the question was, what was your favorite song? Like there's a definitive answer, but I have two, and they're totally different. Number one, Picture Me Rolling by the great Tupac Shakur. Love that song. It's my favorite song. My second favorite song, or 1B, if you will, is Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd. Now, was never a Pink Floyd guy. I'm a hip hop head. But while I was incarcerated, I didn't receive a lot of mail. But one thing that I did receive was my younger brother sent me a letter, and he sent me the lyrics printed out to Wish You Were Here. And the lyrics in that time of my life just resonated so much with me. And finally, when I got released, I was able to listen to the song. I just was bawling my eyes out. Fantastic song. Okay, next question. Favorite quote? There's nothing popping in my head right now other than Dr. Seuss. And he has a quote. Dang, I don't have it memorized. But the quote is something along the lines of, be you, because that's the youest you that you can be. Something by Dr. Seuss. Next question. Early bird or night owl? I would like to think I'm a night owl, but that's probably not true. Now I'm just like an old man that wants to go to bed at 9 p.m. However, sometimes I can lock into the night owl zone. Early bird. I don't want to be an early bird. I hate being an early bird. However, I'm probably an early bird. I wake up early and I just get after it. So I'd rather be a night owl, but realistically, I'm an early bird. Next question. Sweet or salty? Both. Come on. Can we have both? Is sweet and salty together not like the best thing ever, right? Like kettle corn. I don't know if you guys know about kettle corn. It's one of my favorite things of all time. It's sweet. It's salty. It's fantastic. So I choose both. Beach or mountains? Well, this might be a controversial take, but I like the place in between the beach and the mountains. Now, I like the beach and the mountains. I must admit, I'm not a fan of salt water, and I'm not a fan of sand. So the beach, it's cool. I enjoy it. I'll go out, but it's not my favorite. Mountains are great. However, to get to the mountains, usually you gotta hike up big hills. Not a fan of that either. But there's this great area in between the mountains and the beach. Typically, it has a stream that goes through some woods. That's my... Sign me up. I'm there all day. Introvert or extrovert? I kind of touched on this already, but it seems like I'm an extrovert, but really, I'm an introvert. Now, it depends who you ask too. Some people might be like, absolutely not, Roman. That's bullshit. And other people might be like, yeah, I only know the introvert version of you. Not that there's different versions of me. Maybe there is. Actually, now that I think about it, am I an extrovert? Hard to say. I guess it depends on how much coffee I've had. Depends on the time of day and maybe where I'm at. All right. What opinion do you have that gets you in trouble? I don't get in trouble. Despite what it might look like, I don't get in trouble. What's an opinion that I have that maybe others don't like? I have so many opinions. However, I don't really have too many really strong opinions. I feel like I could be swayed on a lot of things. I find myself open to new information. However, I do have one belief that sometimes can get me in trouble, and that is that people care too much about things they shouldn't. That's probably not a hot take, but let me explain. When I got sober, the serenity prayer was everywhere I went. People were saying the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And my goodness, I love that prayer, because that last part, the wisdom to know the difference, I think is something that people miss. I think people care about things they shouldn't. I think people care about things that they have no business caring about. There's nothing they can do about it. They can't change it, right? And then on the flip side, people don't care about things that they actually do have some input and say so and can change. And so, yeah, I think, I don't know, care less about things that don't matter. What is something everyone should stop doing? Easy answer. Stop procrastinating, which leads to the next question. What is something everyone should start doing? Start doing the things that you've been avoiding doing. And that could be literally anything. An uncomfortable conversation that you've been putting off, have that conversation. If there's a relationship that you've wanted to pursue, but you've been afraid of rejection, fucking go for it, right? If it's a career that you're interested in and you've thought about, or a business idea that you've thought about and you've been well, I can never do that. Fucking do it. We just filmed a podcast episode, and one of the things we talked about was that literally everything that you really want is on the other side of hard. It's going to be hard. Life is designed to be a bit hard, and the things that are worthwhile and have meaning are often difficult. So stop procrastinating and start doing the things that you've been putting off. Easy. Next question. What would 18-year-old think about your life today? Jeez. 18-year-old Rome probably would have thought I was a loser. Probably would have thought that guy's lame. What a square. But also 18-year-old Roman wouldn't believe that he could someday be here. And I think that 18-year-old Roman would be proud of me. He wouldn't believe it. But he would be proud. 18-year-old Roman was lost. lost, alone, beaten, and didn't think he was worthy of love or a quality life. And so I think for him to see that he has love in his life, that he's a parent, that he's somewhat successful, he would be proud. Okay. What advice do you have for young professionals? All right, this is a good one. I had this conversation recently. My advice for young professionals is 2 parts. Number 1, there's no shortcuts. There is no shortcuts. My biggest professional failure in life was because I thought I could take a shortcut. And by doing so, I missed out on crucial steps to being successful. And so inevitably, I was terribly unsuccessful. So I would say there's no shortcuts. Also, for young professionals coming up, I would also say this, like, figure out what you're good at and what you love to do. And if you could do those 2 things and make some money, that's the sweet spot. You know, when I became a counselor, I thought about going back to school to becoming a therapist. And I realized I didn't really want to continue school. And school wasn't my cup of tea. And so I thought, okay, like, how can I be successful in this field of behavioral health without having to go to school? And I found a way and carved a path for myself to get there. And so my advice is, like, figure out what you're good at and what you love and do that. Advice for somebody struggling with addiction. Without sounding cliche, my advice for anyone that was struggling with addiction right now is don't give up. Don't give up. Your life is valuable. People care about you. And as bad as it seems right now, it can get better. You are not too far gone. Rock bottom really is once you start digging. So right now, where you're at today could be it for you. I would also say that phone call, reaching out for help, that seems impossible. It's just picking up the phone that's the hardest part. Once you get on the call, relief will come. Just having that initial conversation with somebody. You sometimes just got to break the seal. And no matter what, don't give up, because that little bit of hope that you have is enough to completely change and transform your life, as long as you don't give up. So that's it. That's the questions. That's the podcast. Here we are. No guest, just me, solo Rom, answered your questions. And with that, I'll say it's been a pleasure. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to do this. Come on here and talk to you all. Appreciate you. Also, if there was questions that you have, they weren't answers, boom, put those in the comment box. Let us know. Hit us up. Would love to share more info and insight with you guys. If you guys want Chris to come on here and answer some questions, cool. Let us know. Hit us up. Hard truths, real conversations, and sparks of possibility from a world that's a little broken-ish. This has been great. Thank you. Appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned. Till next time. Peace.